On today's episode of Andy and Ari on 3, it is quarterback roulette. We got Mega Board Wednesday, and the boards are buzzing because Ole Miss starting Trinidad Chambliss again at quarterback, this time against LSU. Oklahoma will be without John Mateer, who injured his thumb in the Auburn game in the first quarter, played through it, but now needs surgery and will be out for a little bit of time, probably including the Texas game. We'll talk about that. Plus, a very special guest. Miami head coach Mario Cristobal talks about the win against Florida and the upcoming game against Florida State that might be a preview of the ACC championship game, too. We'll find out. Also, as Mega Board Wednesday, we'll discuss Dylan Raiola and Drew Allar, some very interesting threads on the Nebraska and Penn State message boards about those two gentlemen. A whole lot to talk about, all on today's Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. We are presented by BetMGM, and if you have not signed up for BetMGM yet, now is the best time. Sign up now, use the bonus code CFB, as in college football, and you'll get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code CFB. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code CFB when you're signing up. And if you've already signed up, we got a couple goodies for you this week. September 26th and 27th, Friday and Saturday. Remember that Friday, some big games this Friday. The college football parlay boost token. No matter where the college football action is, there's nothing like getting in the game and leveling up your next parlay. Use the parlay boost token to boost your potential payout from a winning college football parlay. Also on Friday and Saturday, the college football odds boost token. Zero in on every snap by activating your odds boost token on any college football bet, and you'll receive a bigger payout if your bet wins. And also, little golf this week. You got a Ryder Cup odds boost token as well. Swing for a bigger payday on a winning bet with the Ryder Cup. Use this odds boost token on your next tournament bet for a bigger payout if your bet wins. So sign up for BetMGM if you're not already signed up. If you are, hit those boost tokens. Make it legendary with BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. Call 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code CFB and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Welcome to Andy and Ari on 3, presented by BetMGM. It is a Mega Board Wednesday, and the boards are popping off, Ari. Big news on Rebel Grove, our Ole Miss message board. And it actually comes from our guys Pete Nakos and Chris Lowe. They report that Trinidad Chambliss will be making his third consecutive start for Ole Miss at quarterback in place of Austin Simmons, who is still dealing with an ankle injury. We talked a lot about this game yesterday, Ole Miss and LSU, because of, well, we learned that Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating Whit Weeks. But this probably will have a much more effect on the game. I would imagine, Ari, that LSU was already preparing for Trinidad Chambliss, who is the Ferris State transfer, who's been awesome since he's had to take over. But this, we wanted to find this out. I'm sure Brian Kelly and company wanted to know this, and now they've got an answer.
We still taking the over on this, Andy?
You were taking the over because Lane Kiffin said I was never taking the over.
I was just joking. I'm not taking it either. I just was making a joke about what he said. But I think that it's a interesting and significant piece of news in considering the fact that this game is maybe one of the three best, not maybe, is one of the 3 or 4 best games of the weekend, and certainly have 2 teams that are involved in this game that are going to figure into the SEC race and are still undefeated. So I'm very high on Austin Simmons' potential and have been since the beginning of the year. And it's unfortunate that we haven't been able to see it, shine through just yet. That said, I think Chambliss has done a really good job in his time starting, and certainly feel much better about it being at home and the fact that it's not his first start. So I'm very curious to see if the BetMGM line is going to move, Andy. I don't know if it will, because I think it was kind of priced into the assumption that he was going to play, but now we know, and it'll be cool to see it play out. And, speaking about Lane Kiffin and, the TMZ-ish type episode that we had yesterday, I think it is important, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Bill Belichick is the first college football coach ever to be on the cover of US Weekly. So,
Us Weekly?
Yeah, Us Weekly.
You didn't see. I say you're so out of that universe that you've never even. I am shocked that Lane Kiffin nor any of his family members have made it on the cover of Us Weekly. But dreams can come true. It's not too late. The line you mentioned, it has moved. It has moved toward LSU. It is now Ole Miss -1.5. The total has dropped to 54.5. Maybe they were listening to Lane as well, but. I don't think this news changes my view of the game. I don't know. It certainly wouldn't push me toward LSU, because I would argue that Trinidad Chambliss has been better than Austin Simmons was when he was playing and healthy.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's enough credit that can be given to Kiffin for even having somebody that's this capable. I mean, we had this conversation in the beginning of the offseason, in the middle of the offseason too, of like how many teams in the country actually have a legitimately good quarterback that's a backup. And I don't know that we knew definitively that Chambliss would fit that mold, but we've seen that he does. So I wonder how many other quarterbacks are lurking in the shadows somewhere, waiting to, get their chance and be very good as well. But I think that this is a monumental game for Ole Miss. I think it's certainly a huge game for LSU too, because it kind of felt like they were doing their victory dance. We finally got over the hump. We won our opener, and it's like now that win hasn't aged quite the way you thought it would. LSU is in a position that still feels like it needs to prove itself, and that this year is different. So very intriguing game for both sides of it, and I'm excited to see if Chambliss can keep it going.
Well, what's interesting is he's actually putting up better numbers than he did at Ferris State when he led Ferris State to a Division II national title last year. So, last year he averaged 8 yards per attempt. He threw, completed 62% of his passes. He threw for about 2,900 yards, 26 TDs, 6 interceptions. He was only sacked 7 times, which is pretty amazing. But so far this year, completing 68% of his passes, 11.6 yards per attempt, 4 TDs, no interceptions. Like, he's been phenomenal. Now, granted, Arkansas's defense, Tulane's defense, not near what LSU's will be. So this will be his biggest test by far. LSU's defense intercepted DJ Lagway 5 times a couple of weeks ago. So he's going to have to 5 times. Yes,
5 times.
He's going to have to take care of the ball. But if he can, I think he can lead Ole Miss to a win in this game. Again, the Ole Miss defense is going to have to show up the way they did against Tulane, not the way they didn't against Arkansas. And the quarterback on the other side, Doug Nussmeier, is an interesting one, because remember, Brian Kelly said after the Florida game that Doug Nussmeier, that's his dad, Garrett Nussmeier, is the quarterback at LSU.
Doug Nussmeier can sling it, though.
I'm sure he can. That's how he coaches quarterbacks for the Cowboys and used to be the OC at Alabama and Florida and Michigan. But Garrett Nussmeier was banged up, may have limited his ability to throw deep. If you watch the highlights from last week, he was throwing deep just fine. So it may be that Garrett Nussmeier looks different than he looked, say, against Clemson or Florida when he plays against Ole Miss. So watch out for that, because that could be a difference maker. And then we'll see with the running game at LSU. Obviously, Brian Kelly thought the 51-yard run at the end of the Florida game was good and enough. And I'd imagine in a moment of truth, he would say that's probably not enough, that it needs to be a little more consistent.
Yeah, no, he got mad about the question because he was mad about the offense, and he took it out on the reporter. I'll die on that hill. I don't think anybody's gonna argue with you on that one. Yeah, I think that it's interesting because you worry about LSU's offense and you worry about Ole Miss's defense, and it's kind of like if one of those two units is the difference in this game. all the things that are going to kind of, is LSU's offense fixed or is Ole Miss's defense fixed? Like all the takes that are going to come off of that are going to be interesting. And, of course, the way college football always makes it, more context afterward is going to be necessary. But I think that, if you're picking this game, who do you trust more to do good enough to win? LSU's offense or Ole Miss's defense? And I think that's kind of what you're betting on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you got Joe Sloan versus Pete Golding. So you pick your side there. Pick your side. We've already picked our sides. I picked Ole Miss to cover in this game.
Although Sloan's awesome at his job, so I think that he's done quite well. I don't know. Am I wrong?
Mike Denbrock was the OC when Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. So
I know, but he was the quarterback coach, wasn't he?
Mike Denbrock was the OC when Jaden Daniels won the Heisman.
He gets zero credit for any of that?
Oh, he gets some credit for it.
Yeah, I'm going to assign some credit to for being a part of that.
Light up Ole Miss and we'll heap you with praise.
No, I know, but I'm
light
just
up
saying,
Ole Miss and we'll heap you with some praise.
I don't know. Hey, listen, you were really, really good at your job when we were at the Athletic. I was part of the sports section there. So do I get any credit for knowing you? I don't know. I think that, I get what you're saying, but I think
it's his time. This is his chance too. This is Joe Sloan's chance to break out and show, hey, I can be very good at this job. I can lead a very potent offense. We can go to the playoff with this, because really they do seem to have fixed what they needed to fix on defense. Blake Baker has done that. And then personnel wise, they're where they need to be defensively. So
I got to say, if LSU's offense is actually a problem and it costs them this year, that is a level of hell that I can't even imagine. When you had one of the best offenses in the history of college football a few years ago and literally could not stop anybody. Now you fix your defense and your offense can't score. It's like, God, it kind of reminds me of that, putting a shirt on and you can't get the sleeves right. You go to the left and the sleeve gets too short on the right and vice versa. And it's just like,
I don't think it's going to be like that. I do not think it's going to be a funhouse mirror of 2023.
There's no way that LSU's offense is as bad this year as their defense was in JD.
No, and the thing is, LSU's offense this year could be very good. We haven't quite given it a chance yet. So
we're just getting into the SEC play now. Give them a shot. Give them a minute. So
this will be the chance. Speaking of offenses that got dramatically better, let's go to the Sooner Scoop message boards. Our guy George Story III on Tuesday broke the story that John Mateer was going to need surgery on his right hand, his throwing hand. He injured it on a play in the first quarter against Auburn. I believe it hit it on a helmet. Played all the way through the game, had led a flawless drive at the end to win the game for them. But he's going to be out for several weeks. They're not sure exactly how many. The surgery happening after surgery, when they take a look at it, then they'll have a better idea of when he can come back. The hope is that he can be back for South Carolina, but it sure seems like he's going to miss the Texas game. They've got an off week this week, Kent State next week, then Texas, then South Carolina. So the hope is he's back for South Carolina. Michael Hawkins, who had to start against Texas last year and it did not go well, now you're starting quarterback at Oklahoma.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, just from a fan perspective, this blows. Oh yeah. Oklahoma, it's been well documented, but last year was an absolute dumpster fire in terms of the roulette wheel, luck draw of injuries, right? You thought that after last year that Oklahoma had paid its dues in that category, and it was time for the pendulum to swing back to the other side and for them to get some injury luck. And for John Mateer to take the sport by storm to a certain extent, make people laugh the way he did. And you were in the room, Andy, with the Johnny Manziel comparison and the church comment and stuff. And then
and he's hurt at this point, by the way.
He's hurt. Yeah, right. I can't even fathom too, if your hand is injured enough to require surgery and to miss an extended period of time, how much pain and how much guts it must have taken to play through the rest of that game, and not only play through it, but win, and make some pretty big throws.
He played really well. Yeah.
So, I just for Oklahoma fans who are listening, I feel for you. This sucks. That said, I have a very good memory when it comes to how I have aggrieved people in the past and how they've reacted to it. I do remember being on the tail end of a few Oklahoma avalanches on Twitter last year, critiquing Michael Hawkins' ability. And a lot of people were coming to his defense. Now, I think that it'll be very interesting as somebody, and we joked about this on the show. It's like, well, at least the person they're throwing in has played for Oklahoma. At least the person they are throwing in has been in these big time environments. And if he has grown, and the assumption is because he was so young when he was thrown into that situation, our judgment of Michael Hawkins is every bit as unfair as our judgment of Jackson Arnold last year. He was still behind the same bad offensive line and the inept offensive coordinating. Like, he was still subject to the same, roadblocks and things that inhibited us from getting a really good look at Jackson Arnold. So if you're going to give Jackson Arnold that grace and say, hey, you're going to Auburn, you're going to be in a place that's, more suited to, accentuate your ability, then we also have to give that grace to Michael Hawkins. And you know what? Maybe he'll play really well. I feel like this is a terrible blow because I thought that John Mateer was like on a Heisman trajectory. And I don't know that he's going to be able to overcome that even when he comes back from missing as much time. But like, I have watched and you have watched enough Oklahoma, Texas games to know that shit gets weird. And like, what if Michael Hawkins is really good? Like, I can still hold out hope that he could play.
Well, okay, the offensive line is better, unequivocally. Full stop. We know that. The receiving core
better.
The coordinator's better. Ben Arbuckle's better at calling plays right now than Seth Luttrell is. The receiving core is better with Deion Burks, with Isaiah Satania. Also, remember, Giovanni Gibson will be back. This is the guy they got from Arkansas Pine Bluff that was lighting it up in the spring. He breaks his leg at the end of spring practice.
He's coming back.
He should be playing in the Kent State game. So he should be able to play with Michael Hawkins for a game before they have to play against Texas. So we'll see if he can make the offense better too. It's a much better situation for Michael Hawkins than it was last year. That said, you still would want to see Mateer playing as Texas, given what we've seen from Mateer so far, and that sucks. But I'm excited to see what Oklahoma does. Plus, I will point out, Oklahoma's defense, as good as they were last year, better this year, even better. This is a defense that sacked Jackson Arnold 10 times. They are going to get after the quarterback no matter who they're playing. They're going to be difficult to block no matter who they're playing. That part isn't changing. And that, especially on the D-line for them, their depth is such that they can withstand some stuff. And you will get nicked up through the season. So, like, they are going to be able to get after your quarterback all season, no matter what happens. So I think that's the part of it that will help them, because they're not going to have to score. Like, Michael Hawkins is not going to have to score 50 points a game with this Oklahoma offense.
Yeah.
If he can get them to 25, they're going to be in all these games.
Yeah. And I think that it's a reasonable ask for him. So, listen, Oklahoma with a healthy John Mateer was going to lose games this year probably, because look
at that schedule. It's brutal
against that schedule. I don't care how good you are to get through that unscathed. If they can get through this stretch and have him back for a home game against Ole Miss on October 25th, and I'm skeptical of that, but I don't know. I didn't go to medical school, but if they can get there and they are 2-1, win over Kent State, close game against Texas, but a loss, and then they're able to win that last game against South Carolina, like, you are still in business when he returns. So, like, when I first saw that he was having surgery, Andy actually called me. I was on the phone with Mike Elko, and I was like, oh no. When you said surgery, I'm like, is he done for the year? So the fact that you can say surgery and still have the hope that he's back by November is a pretty nice thing. Yeah. So let's just hope Oklahoma keeps it rolling. And obviously you and I are going to be going to the State Fair and a wonderful, maybe the best spectacle in college football together. I hope that game is more entertaining. Last year when we went was my first time actually going to the game. And it was like not great. It wasn't a great representation of what that game usually features. So I'm hoping that this year we get a better version of it. Bad news, annoying news. Oklahoma doesn't deserve this news, but not like death toll news to me.
Exactly. There is a chance. And look, Oklahoma was going to lose games with John Mateer too. Like, you're not going through that schedule undefeated. Nobody's going through that schedule undefeated. Even some of those great teams that finished undefeated against the schedules they played probably would struggle to go undefeated against that schedule. So I think they're going to be all right, but the defense needs to be even better. It's crazy. They haven't forced a turnover yet, as good as they've been and as many negative plays as they've created. Now, they dropped a couple interceptions against Auburn. They're going to start doing that. So as bad as their luck was with the Mateer thing, maybe it turns around a little bit on the turnover thing, because a lot of the turnover part has just been them being a little unlucky. I think they're going to start forcing turnovers. When you get in a quarterback's face as much as they do, you will force turnovers. So we'll find out. We go to the message board at Kane Sport, our Miami site, Gary Furman's War Room. This is one of those champagne problems message board posts. It is I like Carson Beck, but, and I'm wondering what the person's going to say, and I click on it. It's, shouldn't we be doing the Heisman campaign for Ruben Bain? Which, of course, I'm here for, because I think Ruben Bain might be the best player in college football. I have no problem with pushing him for the Heisman. But I was not going to ask our next guest about this message board post, because I knew what he was going to say, that these guys have a lot of work to do. Nobody deserves any awards yet. Our next guest, of course, is Miami coach Mario Cristobal. He just beat Florida. They're about to play Florida State in what looks like a classic Miami-Florida State game, like when we were growing up, where everybody was hitting, everybody knows each other. It's intense all the way. I can't wait for this game. Ari and I are planning on being there in Tallahassee, and Miami's in a great position right now. They don't have to win the Florida State game, but Miami's in a position where they might be able to go undefeated if they can win this Florida State game. And they're built in a way that allows you to win games in multiple ways. Ari, we talked about this, the revamping of the defense. Last year they had to win shootouts. This year, I think they could win a shootout if they got roped into one.
Yeah.
But the defense is good enough that it's going to hold them down to where they're not going to have to win shootouts.
My number one thing with Miami in the offseason, and this is where I erred with them, because I have picked against them at times, all year and been wrong, has been looking at other places that have had truly terrible defenses and how long it typically takes to repair those defenses. Usually is more than 1 year, right? Like if you look back at what USC was dealing with 2 years ago, it got better last year, but it wasn't elite last year. When you look at what LSU was doing, it's taken a few years to go from what it looked like when Jaden was there to now. Miami went from one of the worst defenses in college football last year to one that you could actually say is quite good. And you don't see that very often. So it was super exciting if you're a Miami fan, like, and you zoom out and you look at like where Miami was when Mario Cristobal took over and where they are now. You want to talk about knocking on the door. This is the beginning of those knocking on the door moments for Miami, and it's super exciting.
We are going to talk to Mario Cristobal in a second, but first I want to talk to you about Brunt Workwear. I think this is a great topic as we go into a discussion of Miami football, because Miami's amazing on both lines of scrimmage. They work very hard to have those big guys ready, and Brunt Workwear is exactly the type of product that you need when you have to work hard. So the founder of Brunt grew up blue collar, had friends in the trades who said, hey, all these boot companies, they're just trying to become fashion companies. They don't care what we need to get our jobs done. And so what Brunt does is they give you what you need to get the job done. These are insanely comfortable, but they're also waterproof. They can go through anything. You're looking at the video there where you got the sparks flying everywhere. I'm telling you, if you need this in rain and mud, it's going to survive it, and you're going to be comfortable the whole way. They're going to hold up. They're not going to fall apart on you. So go to bruntworkwear.com, use the code ON3, and get $10 off your first order. These things are so comfortable, Ari. I'm telling you right now, I cannot wait to find a project where I actually need these.
Yeah, they're killer boots, man. I can't wait to get mine in the mail. I've never had a pair of work boots before, but as you know, I've gotten much better, or at least at attempting to fix things around the house. The gate on the side of our house has come off the hinges for some reason. I'm going to throw those bad boys on and see if I can get to work on that.
Well, and where I live, there's all kinds of projects that you need them for the rain and the mud. And these things, I'm telling you right now, they are made to withstand anything. So bruntworkwear.com, $10 off with the code ON3. Now let's talk about a team that always gets it done in a blue-collar way. Miami, great offensive line, great defensive line. Potential national title contender? We'll find out. Here is Mario Cristobal. We are joined now by Mario Cristobal, the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes, coming off winning against Florida, off this week, but Florida State looming in Tallahassee next week. And Mario, I just remember last year after you beat Florida State, we actually played it on the show last week. We were talking about what it meant to dominate the state, and you hit the table, and I mean, it was emphatic. How much does that mean where you just beat Florida, now you go into a game against Florida State to own the state of Florida?
Well, I mean, we have an unbelievable opportunity coming up. Obviously, Florida State's a great football team. I mean, they have maybe, if not the strongest, one of the strongest resumes in college football right now. And, you know, when teams in the state of Florida play, you've seen it forever now. The intensity behind it's a different level. All these guys know each other. They've all played against each other in high school. And, you know, they want the opportunity to compete and win. So whenever these teams get together, and I remember from being a player to being a GA to coaching, the intensity and physicality and violence of it is off the charts.
Mario, I was, wondering because, I thought were very savvy with the, fist pound after the Florida game. But, in covering recruiting in general, at times I think that results of individual games can be overblown. In the state of Florida, that doesn't seem to be the case because of the relationships and how close everybody is geographically and, all that. How much does winning a game like that do for you in the building when you're recruiting? And then how much is the potential of this game being between two undefeated teams and feeling like a vintage Miami Florida State game do for your program build?
Well, I think winning in general always certainly adds to your ability to validate your messaging, right, when you're going out on the road and recruiting. But I also do believe this because, I mean, I took over a program with the staff, not just myself, over at FIU when they were 0-25, and over at Rutgers when they were 1-11, and in Oregon when they were 4-8. Winning does validate a lot of things, but there is a football season, and then there's almost like recruiting and signing day season, and they don't necessarily match up together all the time. So I think it's the most dangerous thing in the world in recruiting is to assume that winning a football game or winning football games naturally leads to really good recruiting. It could be of assistance, it could help you, but it's an entirely different game and one that has to be taken with the same intensity as you approach everything else you do in your program.
Well, let's talk about the part that comes after recruiting, the development part, because I think about when you took this job, you get it in late 2021, going into the 2022 season. Your first class where you had a full cycle was that 23 class. So that's CeCe Maui-Noa, that's Ruben Bain Jr., Mark Fletcher, guys who are cornerstones of this team now. How much have they grown since they got to your campus, since you saw them as high schoolers? And is this exactly what you envisioned for them at this point in their career? That
was the most challenging recruiting job by an entire staff that I've ever been a part of, because upon arrival, it was a little bit frightening, the caliber, the level of roster that we were walking into. And then you had to play out a season where you were getting your teeth kicked in week after week after week. And you're seeing these guys outside of Hard Rock Stadium, and you're being flat out blunt and honest and saying, yeah, we are not real good right now, but this is our blueprint. This is our plan. This is what your significance to this plan means, and stick with us. We will not let you down. Look at our history. And by the grace of God, a lot of hard work they did. And every single year, we've just been getting better and better and better. And those guys are a massive reason why. And I'll tell you what, the other part I thought was really neat is we had a week and a half or whatnot when we took the job to put some pieces together. And those pieces were Wesley Basaint, Matthew McCoy, Inez Cooper. Gosh, who else was in that? We had some really important pieces that are playing out. They're playing great football for us right now. And they went through all that junk. They went through the beatings that we took. They saw the progress. So they took all the steps. They never skipped the steps. And unfortunately, when when you have a starting point like that, you can't skip steps, and they went through every single one of those painful ones.
Mario, I think that the plan at Miami has been very straightforward for, every coach that, has come through there, especially the ones before you, in terms of, keeping the kids in South Florida home. Obviously, Miami will only go as far as, those players will take it. And I'm wondering, as you guys have seen sustained improvement year over year, success in a way that Miami hadn't had, what's it like walking into a high school hallway now? Do people receive Miami differently in South Florida now than they did 3 years ago?
There's been a drastic change over the past couple of years, and it's still ultra competitive. And it's still about not only getting top tier South Florida talent, but getting the right ones, the ones that really fit the program, and that this place fits, what they're looking to do and the way that we do things. And while at the same time, I think we do a really good job. Our staff does. I certainly don't want to take the credit. We do this thing again as a team, is the fact that we have a really good blend of portal players that are older, that have a year left, portal players that have multiple years, and then high school recruits, high school signees, where the experience with the high level young talent, with experience with years in the portal, as long as the attitudes are right and the level of talent, the caliber of work ethic is right, that's a really powerful blend. And I think all that stuff together has proven that whether you're local, whether you're from the other side of the country, that you're going to have an opportunity to play here at the highest level.
Andy, if I can just jump in here,
Go ahead.
one more, just a follow up to this. What do you think had to be done differently by you and your staff that previous staffs were unsuccessful doing? And I'm not saying to throw anybody under the bus or to say anything specific, but I'm just wondering, was the plan seems the same to a certain extent because that area is so important, but what have you guys been able to do to unleash that plan in a way that Miami had a hard time doing for the previous 15, 20 years before your arrival?
Well, I think I'll start by saying that there's been a ton of progress, because the starting point, I could go on for hours of what that starting point was like. And that was, a pretty challenging situation, but we're not where we want to be yet. So I think when we get to that point, I think it'd be great to reflect and say, okay, these are the things that were done. It's a very different plan. But here's the thing. I respect anyone that's come through here before, anyone that wore a Hurricane shirt or helmet, you're a King, so, and I always try to pick and choose my words respectfully, so it never comes across as, oh, that's wrong and this is right. Cause you never know, and you don't judge. So we have a very regimented blueprint for what we look for. And it's not just for the locker room, it's for the developmental office, for the recruiting department, for the academic section. And we all recruit it the same. I want to be honest with you. We recruit people in the building the same way, the same approach. And I know I didn't answer your question, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that it is different. It's a very lengthy dive.
Well, just make me a promise the time when you decide you want to get into that, because I feel like that is super fascinating. Please just let it be to me.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The best part about it is that the appetite to improve is really strong. Like, we know that, and there's, I look at the game the other night. There's so many errors, so many things that we have to do better. What we want to accomplish requires us to get a hell of a lot better, and the appetite for that is strong. So the DNA is being cultivated the right way. We are recruiting the right kind of guys that are capable of learning that or digesting that and making it real. So a lot of progress, but a long, long ways to go.
So I know it's important in your program to always have great play on the line of scrimmage. It's important going back in Miami history to be great on the line of scrimmage. I want to fact check something that Art Kehoe once told me. So your old offensive line coach at Miami. He said that the offensive line, while he was at Miami, never won a single day at practice. Never won a single day. So I want to fact check that first. Did you guys ever win against your D-line?
Yes.
I thought so. I thought you'd say it.
But where he was right, this is no, and with playing just basic 4-down cover 2, it was successful if after a scrimmage they counted up a dozen plus yards of rushing, because they were that good. I remember being a freshman. It's Russell Maryland, it's Cortez Kennedy, it's Bill Hawkins, Greg Mark, some of these you name it. I can go on those guys forever, but it was extremely difficult to get any kind of movement because those bodies were thick, powerful, explosive, and they played like absolute maniacs. They were very violent football players.
So what is it now when it's Ruben Bain against Markel Bell, when it's Akeem Messidor against Matthew McCoy? Like, what does that look like at practice?
Yeah, it's what you want it to. It's getting to what you want it to look like. They seek each other out. That's the best part. There's no skipping reps, hiding. Like if we go to block destruction or one-on-one, two-on-twos, inside run, middle drill, whatever it is, they seek each other out. They won't take reps unless it's against each other because they know at the end of the day that's really the secret sauce. The secret sauce is it's in the dirt. It's working against each other.
So I knew you were going to win the other night in the first quarter when I'm watching your offensive line. Basically, the pile would just move 5 yards. Like the back would get the ball, he'd run about 2, he'd hit the pile, and then the pile would move another 5 yards. And you guys were still doing that in the fourth quarter. So my question is, who gets more excited about that, you or Alex Mirabal, your O-line coach?
You know who actually gets really excited? The skill guys. I think our skill guys have really bought into being more physical. They bought into being team players, and they're heavily involved, in the run game as well. But as to Coach Mirabal, obviously I've known the guy for almost 40 years. We went to high school together, but he does an exceptional job, and I could tell just watching out of practice today, he's nowhere near being content, and his players aren't either. And honestly, his players don't want any praise right now. They know we missed on several things the other night that really could have, made us a little bit more successful against a really talented and a really good defense because they got a lot of really good players. So just a lot of work to do.
I'm trying to say how to ask this diplomatically. What's it like, and I mean this as a compliment, having a psychopath like Michael Irvin on the sideline? Did you see these videos running? I don't know how aware you are of what's going on, but he's really getting after it on your sidelines. What's it like having him out there?
Well, he was kind of one of the hosts when I officially visited here way back in the day, so I know the intensity that he's going to bring, and during the game, am I aware of anything outside of what we're doing? Absolutely not.
Have you seen the clip of him? Yeah, we'll have to send it to you because like that, he was fired up.
But you know what he did? What he did, honestly, a year ago, he came to. We had 400 plus members that came to the alumni reunion, and he spoke to the team off camera, no recording, no nothing, and he went right at some really important things that were the basic principles of being a Miami Hurricane way back, and also letting them know that we don't want to go. We're going forward with you guys. We're not trying to make this nostalgia theater. We want to make sure we're here to help and mentor and assist. And Mike is he's all heart. He's all Hurricane. Obviously his history is awesome, and we're seeing a lot of guys coming around, and that's really good for our program.
What did you said he was one of your hosts when you came to visit way back?
I think everybody was hosting that.
I was just hoping that you could tell us what that evening looked like.
It was a very successful recruiting evening.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get that. Saving that for the book.
We all committed.
Even if you didn't have an offer, you committed.
Committed. But you know what? Honestly, it was. I used to come over here on a bike or hitch a ride or walk, whatever it took. I absolutely loved watching practice and what they did, and the physicality, the level of competition. Those guys try to take each other's heads off, and I wanted to be one of those dogs, and I didn't know if I was good enough to even come here. So when I got the shot, it was awesome. So
one guy who does look like an old school Cane before we let you go, Ruben Bain Jr. He's from Miami Central. You knew in high school he was going to be a really good player, but what he's doing this year seems just incredible. And it seems like he has a knack for just ending the game. He did it against Notre Dame with a couple plays right at the end. I remember watching you guys against Florida, and it was 19-7, and Florida still got a little bit of a shot. And I was like, well, they haven't really gotten home in a minute. And then, boom, Ruben Bain hits DJ Lagway and the game's over. Can you tell when he's about to do that?
Well, he gets chip blocked, double teamed. The backs come through on him. They slide the protection to him. So we move him around a lot. He's an explosive play away on every play. quite frankly. It's just a matter of time, I guess. The level of effort he plays with and physicality is second to none. And I can tell you right now, just going out there and watching practice, he's not not happy with his performance. He knows that there's a lot more to give, a lot more to accomplish, and he's gonna work hard than ever this week to make sure that he and his teammates get better.
Andy, hit him with the rule for life.
Oh yeah. Oh, we didn't prep you for this, and I'm sorry, but I have a feeling you have a good answer for this. When we have coaches on the show, we ask them what their rule for life is, or their rules for life. Like I have 3: never complain about free food, never complain about free beer, never skip leg day. I feel like if you do those 3 things, you're a happy person. Do you have one rule or a couple rules that you just live by?
Yeah, I have a few. I'll just throw one out. Just don't ever let anybody outwork you.
It seems like you're doing that right now. I mean, this is off week, but you're as intense as ever. Sounds like practice is as intense as ever. So good luck as you go forward here.
We got a long way to go, man. We're improving, and we recognize that part. But when you watch the tape, we got work to do. And again, what we want to accomplish just requires us to get better. So we're at it. We're very aware of the things we have to get better at. So let's just keep working.
Mario, thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. It means a lot.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in Tallahassee.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We got more Mega Board Wednesday coming up, but first I want to tell you about Rhoback. I'm wearing my Hezzy hoodie. You know how I feel about those hoodies. The Rhoback hoodies are the best in the world, and now you can get them with your favorite team's logo on them. Producer River, let's show everybody. Nebraska, Tennessee, all these hoodies that you can get. That Nebraska one's beautiful. That's a beautiful hoodie right there. Tons of teams with the collegiate collection, but also when you're not repping your team. If you just want a great, beautiful piece of clothing, hoodies, polos, quarter zips, you name it, shorts. The Rhoback shorts are fantastic. I'm working out in those now. The shirts, the tech shirt that I was wearing on yesterday's show, outstanding. So go to rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use the code Andy for 20% off your first order. Code Andy, 20% off your first order. That's Rhoback, RHOBACK.com. You can rep your team, but you can also just look good, whether you're at work, whether you're in the golf course, whether you're out to dinner, you name it.
Yeah. Fall is the official season of Rhoback, but they also make great golf shirts too. I know that that's a part of the thing, but I've been hitting the links a little bit more lately, and
nice.
It's a very comfortable, perfect golf shirt as well. So great stuff.
Well, and the temperature's starting to drop, and we're starting to get assigned. We got some assignments that came in for games later in the year where we're gonna have to go up into the cold weather. My Huddle hoodie is sitting there in my closet just calling to me. If you have not experienced the Huddle hoodie from Rhoback, it is the warmest hoodie known to man. And so I can't wait until the temperature drops enough to wear that. But right now, perfect Hezzy hoodie weather, perfect polo weather, perfect shorts weather, perfect joggers weather. RHOBACK.com, code Andy, 20% off your first order. All right, Ari, let us now go to the Mega Board. And there was a post that kind of bugged me, kind of irked me. And really the whole conversation kind of irks me. And this was from Husker Online.
Here we go.
It's about Dylan Raiola. And I think the people who watch you, Ari, and think you hate Nebraska and everything, that they assume we're just here to bury Dylan Raiola. We're going to be like, oh, he's cosplaying Patrick Mahomes, blah, 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 blah. I'm not here for that. But I'll read you how the post begins. It's starting to question Dylan. He has not shown and then it cuts off. But I'm not bashing Dylan or blaming him for the Michigan loss. He made some nice throws and the stats look good. The problem I have is he's not letting the ball go. The line had a rough night, but I saw some guys open on curls and things, and he would just not throw the ball. Here's my question for coaches or film junkies, things I did not see live but they can see on film. I think at least a couple sacks are on him for not seeing guys or simply not throwing it away. But here goes if there's any takers. Is Dylan too conservative or scared to release the ball if receivers are not open? He may be a great pre-snap guy, but is he a slow processor post-snap? Okay. I'm ready to offer the full-throated Dylan Raiola defense here.
Please. But before you get into that.
Yes, let's hear what Matt Rule had to say this week at his press conference, because he talked about it too. And this has dominated the discussion. I get the Patrick Mahomes thing. I know it bothers people, and I know people want to talk about it, but I don't know. Here's Matt Rule.
Bother you that the narrative about Dylan is not about that throw, and it's about whatever they're talking about on CBS or that it's about off-field stuff?
Yeah, I just have always. I'm very hard on our players from an accountability measure. You know what I mean? Like I believe that I hold them highly accountable because I want every player someday to say that their life is better because they played for us. And I know people might kind of roll their eyes, but that's all I want. I want them to say I had a better life because I went there. So that might be sometimes challenging them. But outside of that, I'm going to defend them to the nth. I know how hard they work. Like even if a guy didn't play well, like what's the point of like burying him? Like what is the point of burying that kid? Like I want to try to build him up. I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about, but when it comes, sometimes I think things are just so lazy. Like he's completing 75% of his passes. He's played 2 Power 4 teams. Even the play with the touchdown to Ja'Cory, like that's an elite level check. That's not somebody in the headset looking over the sidelines and them going like this. And that's Dylan playing quarterback, man. Like, so yeah, I say it to everyone every time the media comes in. I'm like, let's not do the whole just the Mahomes thing. Now, I mean, I get the Mahomes thing, but that's just such an easy. Let's talk about the football, and I think he's playing football at a really, really, really high level. And if you look at his growth from last year to this year, like he got hit early. He had to run around early, and yet he's one throw, and that throw's not all. I mean, it's on him. It's also on the tight end. Tight end breaks out when he's supposed to sit down. Tight end does what he's supposed to do. The ball's completed, and we don't have to throw that interception. So it's a little bit of everybody. But yeah, that doesn't bother me as much as like I want people to see in these guys what I see in them. Right? They play their tails off, and I think Dylan's playing quarterback at a really high level right now, personally.
And also, I got another version of that. Our app that we're using to capture these videos sometimes gets a little wonky. So here's Matt Rule talking about Dylan Raiola in German.
Weil ich dort war. Das mag für Sie manchmal eine Herausforderung sein. Das mag sein, aber abgesehen davon werde ich Sie verteidigen bis zum Ende. Ich weiß, wie hart Sie arbeiten, selbst wenn ein Spieler nicht gut gespielt hat. Wozu sollte man ihn dann begraben? Wozu sollte man diesen Jungen begraben? Ich möchte versuchen, sie aufzubauen. Ich rede nicht von Fans, ich rede davon. Aber wenn es darum geht, denke ich manchmal, dass die Dinge einfach nur faul sind. Ich denke, er hat 70% seiner Pässe erfolgreich abgeschlossen. Er hat gegen 2 Power-4 Teams gespielt. Sogar der Spielzug mit dem Touchdown gegen Ja'Cory. Das ist ein Elite-Level-Check. Das ist nicht jemand mit Headset, der über die Seitenlinie schaut und sagt, das ist Dylan, der Quarterback spielt. Mann.
Okay. I didn't understand a word of that, but I did hear the English version before, so.
Andy, listen, I am here with you, and I want to talk about how well Dylan Raiola has played. But I want to also back up because you, in your wonderful Switzerland being, aren't in the throes of the depths of hell with Nebraska Twitter right now. And I want to explain something.
But I'm not even trying to be Switzerland here. Like, if I thought he stunk, I'd tell you I think he stinks.
He stinks either, but I'm saying you're Switzerland in the sense that you're not a part of what. I don't know that you're seeing what I'm seeing. So I just think he's a convenient lightning rod for people who aren't really watching the game to criticize and say, "Oh, that's the problem right there." He's not the problem. He's not. As a result of the clip that you just saw and played from Matt Rule, there has become or been this groundswell of Nebraska fans online, and maybe they don't represent most of them or many of them, but they are very loud online, that have convinced themselves that the entire national media has gotten to a place where they refuse to compliment Dylan Raiola and that they are obsessed with the cosplay thing. Okay. And one, we have acknowledged it on this show. I don't think that either of us have ever criticized him for it. I think that we've talked about it because it's something that you have to talk about. And there's things that you need to understand. People criticize DJ Lagway quite frequently. People have criticized Nico Iamaleava. They have criticized Carson Beck, and they've criticized everybody a lot. So it's not just a Dylan Raiola is the only person being criticized. 2, he's making a 7-figure salary now, and he is in the public eye. So if there is something to criticize, he's certainly, able to shoulder the blunt of that. The Mahomes thing. though it's not something that we've given him crap for, has to be acknowledged. And it's made tremendous rounds on social media, Andy. Millions and millions and millions of impressions, many of whom aren't even college football fans, because it became a TikTok sensation. So it's important to understand that he was also a 5-star prospect who was at one point, I believe, the number 1 player in the country. People latch onto those things, especially when that player flips multiple times, and they go out of their way to criticize them. And Raiola is not unique in that. And also, I think it's been a completely and utterly fair criticism coming into the season to question whether or not the bottom half of his body is good enough to get him to that elite level. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't overcome that, or that he won't get better, or that he hasn't played well. But a lot of the criticisms that people are latching onto, at least from my perspective, are things that we said in June that aren't true anymore. So I wanted to use that as a way to, set the stage for you to talk about how well he's played, because I agree with that. Like, it's like, I don't even understand why people are upset. So go ahead and tell everybody that you believe that Dylan Raiola has played well, because frankly, it's in the numbers. He's not the problem for Nebraska. The problem was the offensive line got their ass kicked on Saturday.
And it's not just the offensive line. And look, I understand. And this is what that message board poster is asking. He's asking good questions. How much of this is Dylan holding the ball, and how much of this is the line and it's, it takes a village to pass protect. So it's not always just the line, but how important is that, and how much is on him and how much is on everybody else? He was under pressure the entire Michigan game. I want to say it was 75 to 80% of his dropbacks. Somebody was in his face. I was just watching a cut up of his best plays. None of them came in a clean pocket. Like, he's evading a sack every single play. The other problem is they're just not running the ball very well. So they gained 94 yards rushing. You back out the sacks, it drops down into the 40s. So, like, even 94 yards rushing wouldn't be good enough. But they are just not effective running the ball. So the defenses don't have to even respect that. They just come after Dylan Raiola. And so he's doing the best he can. If he gets adequate protection, either or, and would be better, but either or, adequate protection or an effective run game that works with their pass game, it's a very different situation for him.
Yeah,
he would have some clean pockets.
And it's also important to point out, because if you go back and watch clips from our off season, there was one like really brutal one. You have to acknowledge that we went through, and it's like, how many quarterbacks would you take over Dylan Raiola? And we took most of them over him. Yeah. And in some of those cases, in many of those cases, we were wrong that we shouldn't have done that. And Dylan Raiola did, in my opinion, there are a few off-platform throws that he made in that Michigan game. There were certain times where he looked dead to rights and might have been dead to rights sack-wise in the past, that he stepped through and avoided pressure and made, throws downfield that moved the chains. So you have to acknowledge that the thing that I was most concerned about, which was his inability, or my viewpoint of inability, to escape and evade pressure and extend plays, I thought has improved. Which is
it's improved dramatically. He just can't do it every freaking play. And I just did their sack adjusted rushing yards. Sack adjusted. So take the sacks out. They average 1.8 yards a carry.
Yeah. Not going to get it done. And Matt Rule himself.
Unacceptable.
Matt Rule himself in his news conference said that the most disappointing thing about the game was that the Michigan controlled the line of scrimmage. Now, also, we have to acknowledge too that that's Michigan's entire existence as a program right now. Like, they will win, and their entire way of winning games is by doing that. And, I think the most frustrating thing more than anything is that I believe that Dylan Raiola would actually be more in the forefront of the conversation, certainly would have, had Nebraska won the game. They only lost by 3 points.
Yeah. When you consider how badly Michigan beat Nebraska at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, the fact that this was a 3-point game is a miracle. So, and one of the reasons it was a 3-point game was wearing number 15. He got them out of trouble in a bunch of cases where he should have probably gone down and lost yards.
Yeah.
So,
but I
I think what bothers people is the Patrick Mahomes thing. Just he looks like him. He does the warm up, whatever. I don't care. I don't care what you want to do. He said the number's actually an homage to Tim Tebow. So and I get it, because if you're that age, when you see 15, that you're thinking Tim Tebow. So I just don't I get that he's a convenient lightning rod. He's easy to make fun of because he's pretending to be Patrick Mahomes before the games.
And you know the other thing that no one is acknowledging about the Mahomes thing?
He really looks like him.
Everybody makes fun of Patrick Mahomes.
That's true. Even though he's the best quarterback possibly of all time.
And they make people sent me this meme of Patrick Mahomes looking like Darlene from what's the show? This
Roseanne.
weekend.
Yeah.
Roseanne. He gets made fun of he's the greatest quarterback maybe of our lifetimes. He gets made fun of all the time. So
it's either him or Tom Brady. He's one or two.
Every single time he talks, people dub his voice over as Kermit the Frog. They make fun of him all the time. Like when you are famous and you go viral on TikTok, you are also seeing a lot of criticism from people who don't even like college football.
Yeah. And that's what I just think. It's really easy to make fun of Dylan Raiola. It is not easy to watch the game and figure out what the real problem is, but he's not the problem. I'm telling you right now, he's not the problem.
I just resent being lumped into other conversations about him that we're not a part of, as if we haven't acknowledged his improvement. Like we have acknowledged it from the beginning. Like we were wrong, or I was wrong in my analysis. I think so. It looks like it that of some of the players I would have taken earlier on, but holy crap, I was wrong about Dylan Raiola. I was also wrong about 9 other quarterbacks. I don't understand this Nebraska.
You got to let this go.
No, it's not me. I'm talking about this Nebraska mentality, not just with me, in general, of Dylan Raiola is being isolated as the only person. You know how much shit DJ Lagway's taking right now?
I live in Gainesville, so yes.
Being Nico Iamaleava right now? Do you think it was fun being Carson Beck in the offseason? Dylan Raiola is going to get made fun of and criticized by everybody all the time because he's a 5-star quarterback making more than $1 million who looks exactly
what's crazy is if things get better for Nebraska, he'll actually probably get criticized even more.
Yeah.
Just because he'll be more prominent.
If things get better for Nebraska, there is going to be more of the other side of the coin that you feel like you're missing right now. If you think that he can take the shots because of the Mahomes thing, and that's annoying you right now, you will not. It's not being offset by the flowers he deserves because, unfortunately, Nebraska's not an interesting enough national storyline to draw those headlines yet. But I believe that Matt Rule's going to get them there. I believe he has a shot to get them there. I wrote one of the first things I ever wrote at On3 was about how cool it was that Nebraska had somebody who could go viral. When's the last time Nebraska had a player that could go viral at all, good or bad? These are all good things. I just do not understand this victim mentality that a lot of people are illustrating online. It's you're doing fine, just relax. It's going to be okay.
Well, they're allowed to get mad about whatever they're allowed to get mad about. They can be mad about whatever they want to be mad about.
It's misguided to me, though. It's misguided.
But the criticism of Raiola is misguided too.
Are there a lot of people out there criticizing Raiola's play right now?
Yes.
I don't see
you're not the only person in the world. So don't.
No, I'm saying I haven't.
Ari, would I have come up with the entire conceit for this segment if there weren't people doing that?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe my algorithm is missing it, but I'm not seeing a lot of national media members writing hit pieces about how bad he's playing right now. So, whatever.
It's more of a video thing. Yeah. Because you can just throw the B-roll of the Mahomes stuff in there. I'm telling you, it's because it's easy and convenient. That's why it's being done.
Yeah.
But you actually watch the game, he ain't the problem.
Yeah. I bet on Nebraska this weekend and lost, by the way. So
I know.
Where my head was at going into that game, it was I think they're gonna win. So
Hook guy, you gotta quit being so defensive with Nebraska.
No, but also really upset because when they were down 10-0, I hammered plus 550. Because I thought
that was not a bad idea because they were moving the ball and they just had gotten stopped at the goal line.
Plus 550 was the wrong number for the way the game was going. and then they
Right.
tied it, and I was like, all right, we're in business, baby.
But the other problem that I didn't mention, by the way, that, because I was focusing on the offense, but you can't give up explosive runs like that. And I realize Michigan can do that to people. They did it to Oklahoma too, but you can't do that. You can't. You can give up one of those in a game. You can't give up as many as they did. So it's both lines of scrimmage, and unfortunately, that's a hard thing to fix in season. But it also may be that Michigan's really good at that part of it, and they ran into a buzzsaw with Oklahoma. So we may see them do this to other teams too. So I'm not ready to throw it all out with Nebraska yet, but I am ready to say Raiola is not the problem.
Yeah, I don't think he's the problem.
Got to fix the lines of scrimmage. That's the problem right now.
Never thought he was the problem. Yeah.
We got one more really juicy message board post to talk about. But before that, let me tell you about Game Time, because if you'd like to go to any of these big games this weekend, if you would like to see LSU and Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss against Garrett Nussmeier, well, you can be at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi for not too bad of a deal. Less than $200, you can get really good seats in Oxford. Also, maybe you want to go see Indiana, Iowa in Iowa City. Big road test for the Hoosiers, who just dominated Illinois last week. You can get tickets to that game for less than $100. You can get really good seats in the low hundreds in Iowa City. So download the Game Time app, redeem the code STAPLES for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. And Ari, the best thing about Game Time, of course, is the number you see is the number you pay. They don't tack on like $90 worth of fees.
Yeah, that's the worst thing about ticket buying experience, and the fact that Game Time has alleviated us of that nightmare is the reason why I exclusively use their app to buy stuff in this category.
And go to Texas Rangers games where you get free buffets, where you get to just pig out to your heart's consent.
Wait to the last minute of a baseball game, buy a suite in the Loge area that has that access to the all you can eat. I ingested 12,000 calories because of Game Time.
That's right. The last minute part of it is amazing. If you're on the fence about a game, hey, pop open Game Time day of. I guarantee you will be very pleasantly surprised by what you see, and you may wind up using that code STAPLES to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, of course. Download the Game Time app. You want to go to a game? They got you. Another quarterback thread. This one's very interesting, and I think strikes at the heart of one of the biggest games of the week. And it's from our Penn State site, and it says, "Tough conversation." This is a headline. "Tough conversation. Is Allar good enough? Is Drew Allar good enough?" And this is from the Wizard of Camelot on our Penn State site's message board, and says, former 5-star prize recruit, now third-year starting QB. "I think everyone can agree that Drew Allar has improved every year since arriving at Penn State. But this is another case of looks the part versus actual production. What is Allar's best game of his career? USC. He also threw 2 picks in that game. Likely what we come up with was a game versus mediocre to bad competition. He has yet to put together a good performance against an elite defense in his career. None of this is unfair. He's about to play Oregon. This is his chance to show that, yes, he has all the physical tools, and now he can put it all together against a great defense. Or it could be a game like he played against Notre Dame last year, which was not good enough. And that's what we're looking at, because, I think a lot of people are looking at that. Drew Allar came back another year when he probably would have been a very high NFL draft pick because he's tall and big and fast and has a huge arm. The idea was to get better as a quarterback and be more ready when he got to the NFL, but also to have these moments in college that he hasn't had yet. Now's his chance. And I think the Wizard of Camelot, posting on that message board, everything they asked was completely fair.
One of the best days of my 2024 was when you, me, and a few other people gathered around in Nashville for championship weekend last year.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote a pretty solid column about Kenny Dillingham that I still thought hit pretty hard. And then we ordered Domino's And we were just in the man cave because, we have a man cave too at the On3 office. And we were watching the games. They had these big TVs mounted. It was great. We were laughing, having a good time, and eating grade A pie. The one thing I take exception to, and I don't know if you remember it this way, but when I read the part of he's never put together a really good game against.
Oh, I'm glad. I am so glad you're bringing up this game. I am so glad.
I actually thought that was, I know he threw 2 interceptions, but in Oregon's 45-37 win over Penn State in the Big Ten championship game, the game that had no bearing whatsoever on anything other than who wins the Big Ten. And some seeding. Drew Allar completed 20 of 39 passes for 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, and he also rushed for 54 yards on 5 attempts. And he made some really good off-platform. One of the
Ari, is a 51.3 completion percentage good?
So that's what I was getting to, Andy.
Yeah,
Is that game good enough to you? That's the
no,
if
absolutely not.
Okay, because I actually thought he played really well. Just watching
5.8 yards per attempt, 51%. Is a bad game for a quarterback.
But when I watched the game, as we were watching it, and I could have been in a cheesy bread coma. I don't know what it was. I remember my initial thought before looking at the box score was he played well. Like I think sometimes when
if he played well, they would have won the game 52-45.
Interesting. Okay, so you think I'm remembering it bad?
No, I remembered it wrong too. I went back and watched it after I looked at the stats.
You rewatched it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remembered him being dominant in that game. And I saw the stats, and I'm like, whoa.
I know, but what do you think's more important? Stats or the way it looked while you were watching it?
Both. Being efficient.
I don't
completing most of your passes. Completing most of your passes for an efficient number of yards.
I hate stats because they change. I don't know. Because you're right. I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. Like statistically, it was a bad game. Or not a great game, I should say.
Yeah. No, if you throw the ball 39 times.
Yeah.
If you were efficient, you threw for 350 yards.
I think if Drew Allar played that way every week, Penn State has a chance to make a deep run. Now, that's not elite. But the question is Drew Allar good enough? I thought the way he played in the Oregon game was
good. Let me give you the poster mentioned the USC game. Let me give you the stats from the USC game. 30 of 43 passing, 69.8%. That's good. 391 yards. That's good. 9.1 yards per attempt. That's good. 2 TDs, 3 picks. That's bad. 3 picks bad. Picks are bad, period. Now, I can't remember if all those were his fault. So I'd need to go back and rewatch to find out that. Because we ascribe the interceptions to the quarterback, but it's not always their fault. So, but those passing numbers are what you want from a QB. Like, that's an efficient game. And he's had efficient games against West Virginia, against Bowling Green, against Kent State, against UCLA, against USC. This is last year. Against Wisconsin before he got hurt. Not so much against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much against Oregon. Not against SMU. Not really against Boise State, and definitely not against Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that tell you?
The one thing it does tell me is that last year they could have won the national title if he played at an elite level, and they didn't.
That's right. That's the difference. So if he can
now, and he hasn't played a game yet against that team, so I think this is an important game for him.
This is huge. This is huge. If he can raise his level of play against those types of players, that is how you do it. That is how Penn State ascends. That is how Penn State becomes a true national title contender. That is how they're not the favorite for the national title anymore, by the way, at BetMGM. It's now Ohio State. They took over for him this week. But I would bet you if Penn State wins this game against Oregon, that Penn State will jump right back there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would bet you if Penn State wins this game against Oregon, it is because Drew Allar played a really good game.
Yeah. That was a really good preview of the game.
I cannot wait. I am so excited for this game. Whiteout, Oregon. Dante Moore gets his chance. Kenyon Sadiq blew up against Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. Maybe we get to see him do some crazy, freakishly athletic stuff in this game.
Mm-hmm.
DeCorian Moore his first really big game of his college career. He's played a few already, but this is the first really big one. True freshman receiver at Oregon. This is going to be so exciting. Ari, This week is fantastic. We got big show tomorrow. It is you guys helping us control the show. Mailbag episode. You know how to find us. Dear Andy, dear Ari. Andy Staples on3@gmail.com. Ari.Wasserman at on3.com. Also scheduled to join us, Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz. We'll ask him about drop kicking and all kinds of other stuff. We'll talk to you tomorrow.